So the same day I posted my Cenobite ranking video, which was yesterday, this video drops. Well done, FBI, for once you're listening. What's happening, my fellow ghouls and ghoulettes? Welcome to a brand new, impromptu and exciting episode of Cosplay Chris. I'm going to be talking a bit of behind the scenes shop. So with that being said, a video has dropped, like I said, the same day yesterday that I dropped my Cenobite ranking video, of a behind the scenes video interviewing the crew of Russell Effects that worked on the brand new Hellraiser film that is now streaming on Hulu, with some incredible behind the scenes photos and behind the scenes commentary by the crew. It's an hour and 20 odd minutes long. I will leave the link down below. Go check it out. It is a really good listen, very insightful. The amount of detail that has gone into these creature costumes is ridiculous. So the purpose of this video is it's just a breakdown of some certain shots from the video. I really got into it. I took some screenshots of things that really stood out to me and things that I want to talk about because I love talking about this stuff. So the whole video is pretty much a slideshow. The only moving video from memory is the contraption that was hooked up to Voight. They do a behind the scenes of that, of all the gears turning, and that was a practical thing. That was 3D printed, and I did take a screenshot of the raw 3D components of the back piece of that rig. So I've got my slideshow here ready to go. We've got concept stuff, we've got maquettes, we've got sculptures, we've got appliances, we've got 3D prints, we got everything. So that being said, let's check some of these photos out. So the first two photos are actually pieces of concept art, and we see front and center is the mother. Now, you guys remember, if you watched my Cenobite ranking video yesterday, the mother rated third on my ranking list because of how horrifying the concept is. Even though we saw a quick glimpse of the mother, it was still incredible to see, and here's one of the earlier concepts. Again, looks like it is with child, and then to the left you can see Jamie Clayton's pinhead, which is really cool. Next up we have the Voight Cenobite that we see at the very end of the film, and there are some more behind the scenes photos of the actual appliance has been applied to the actor, and also a green screen effect with the mouth ripping away. But overall, nothing's really changed. It even looks like the eyes are still there somewhat, but still nothing really changed from concept to final product, and it just looks incredible. This is a wonderful piece of art. I would proudly hang this in my home with a nice frame around it. So now we're getting to maquettes. Now, for those who don't know what a maquette is usually a scaled down sculpture, whether it be a bust or a full body sculpture that is then submitted to the director, producer, studio heads and stuff like that, and it's also used as reference on set if something is going to be CGI. But for the most part, it's just to get an idea of how this thing is going to look, whether it's a creature, character, prop, in three-dimensional form. And in this case, they've done a maquette of Jamie Clayton's pinhead. There are some certain changes that have differed from the final product. Everything seems a lot more organic in terms of the flesh panels being ripped off, but those coins are still embedded in the neck, which looks amazing. It looks like they've gone for nails in terms of this maquette this time around, as opposed to the final product, which uses the aesthetic of actual pins. Now, here's a body sculpt right here. From what I can tell, and from the top of my head, it's either the gasp or the asphyx. But from what I can see, I don't know if this is an actual casting or this is just a mock-up to see how the paint looks, because usually you do a master casting and then you do a paint mock-up just to, again, show the director, show that studio heads and stuff like that, how this thing is going to look once it's painted. Because the last thing you want is to go through the whole molding process, casting a prosthetic, having it ready to go, painted, and it doesn't look right painted. That's why you always have to have a paint master, a test paint piece, just something to show and also read on camera. So here's that same photo, but it looks like zoomed out a lot. So on the left is the gasp, so I'm pretty sure on the right is the asphyx, because I remember with the gasp there was all that interwoven muscle and flesh on the breastplate. It looked amazing, and from what I can see, that is a sculpt for it. So I'm not sure if that's a clay sculpt or that's like a cast up bodysuit. It looks like a cast up bodysuit, and they've started the painting process. Here's something very cool. Here are some pulled skin appliances with hooks rigged up in them. So they've obviously just got some spare hooks lying around. And just for reference purposes, just to see how they're gonna look in there, but these are pretty straightforward flatbed molds. You use your epoxy to make your mold, and then you just pour in your silicone. It's just like a standard block mold, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Around the actual appliance, you've got your excess spill reservoir, so excess silicone goes out over it, and then you're left with a nice blending edge. So looking at this particular mold, I'm trying to see if this is Jamie Clayton's neck appliance, and it kind of looks like it. If you look at some of the details on the neck, it looks like that exposed muscle on the pinhead appliance. And also it looks like the two coins, but inverted, so a negative of the coins, they're embedded in her neck, which is really cool. And these look like, are they, I'm not gonna say stone molds, they look like fiberglass or epoxy by the looks of it, because I can see some transparency at the top of one of the molds, and it just makes sense, it's just a lot more lighter. Stone molds still have a place in special effects, but they're very old school. I think it's more or less you use stone molds if you're on a budget, like a really tight budget. And here's just a cheeky live cast of the actor that portrayed the Chatterer. Like I said in my video yesterday about ranking the Cenobites, he is a tall dude. Off the top of my head, I think like 6'7" or something. Now here's what looks like some master castings of the Chatterer, you know, good segue from the live cast of the actor. These look like some master castings. I don't know if they're resin or whatnot, but they'd obviously have to be some sort of lightweight thing. If they were solid plaster, that guy would not be holding them up and being so happy. Now here's where we get into the nitty gritty stuff. This is the start of Jamie Clayton's pinhead prosthetic. So obviously you're gonna start off with on the face, then you move on to the whole body. But for the most part, apparently they used a gel injected silicone for the appliances, which is a phrase I've never heard before. If someone knows what that means in the comment section, please let me know. I just assume, you know, you have your negative space mold and then you inject the silicone in, stuff like that. You have an epoxy mold. You can even do a gypsum mold. There are some cracker behind the scenes photos, and this is one of them. Here's the actor portraying the mask. And I said yesterday in my video, I wonder if they did the green screen thing, try saying that 20 times, or they had the prosthetic end here and then they had the mask on top. But no, they've gone the green screen sock on the head and then digitally removed that. And he's just chilling on his phone. I love that. Here's a really good look at how they achieved that effect. So this is obviously in the early stages before they've finished all the paintwork on the actual mask itself, and they've just got the green screen hood there. And it just makes sense. Like, it's so easy to digitally remove something like that these days. Plus, if you have something that ends here and then have the mask start here, you lose all proportion. You need a really tall actor and you might have to overcompensate and widen the actual piece overall. Now here's a really cool shot of one of the artists working on Jamie Clayton's prosthetic, and I think also just getting the proportions of the grids right. And what I really love is it's just not a line, but you see like the flesh like buckling and bowing out and stuff like that. Like, it's starting to separate with the pins being in there. And there's a really cool shot of Jamie Clayton just in the background there. And usually what they'll do, if the actor has hair, they'll have the hair pull back and just get, you know, front shot, profiles, everything, mouth, nose, eyes, especially the eyes. If the artist has to go in and sculpt open eyes on, say, like a clay pour, clay casting, stuff like that, they need great reference of the eyes. But also you can always do a 3D scan of the actor with their eyes open. But I think for the most part, traditional sculpture always will have a place, and that's why you need those reference shots. They're crucial to the artist. So this is the part of the video where the crew of Russell Effects broke down the pins and how they were achieved. They went through so many iterations of the pins slash nails. They tried to look at store-bought things, and what they settled on apparently are styrene stems, like hobby styrene stems with these balls on top. So it looks like actual thick sewing pins. But they had this one artist and her sole job was to paint the iridescent pearl tops of those pins, which is just crazy. So they found that actual pins, like metal pins, just wouldn't hold and they would just start to sag on the silicone. So they opted for a styrene, which just makes total sense. It's a lot more lighter on Jamie's face. Can you imagine having all of those full metal pins? It just wouldn't work and they would sag and snap off eventually. But this is one of the silicone, or should I say gel-filled silicone prosthetics that they used. And it's cool that they pre-glued the styrene pins down. It just saves on time. They can put it straight on her face and start the blending process. So this is a negative mold of the actual appliance. And then you have your positive buck that you marry to the negative, and then you inject the silicone in. Or foam latex, whichever one you're using. And just a cheeky shot of Jamie in the makeup chair, very cool. If you're getting in and out of that makeup full time for the film, if your sole purpose is to play a creature and you're not seen as human, in human form and stuff like that, you'd have to get to a point where you've got to zone out, go zen, and just fall asleep in that makeup chair. It's the only way you could get through a rough shoot like that in creature makeup slash creature suits. Now here's a wicked shot of the actress that played the Gasp, and I think the middle shot is possibly a test fitting or something like that. And then on the left we see that's on the actual sound stage when they were filming out the front of Voight's mansion. Now here's a great shot of the Voight Cenobite sculpt being worked on. Look at this guy's face. He's like, oh my, we've got quite a lot of work ahead of us. But then you see the concept art of Voight's Cenobite, and to the left you've got Jamie's Cenobite concept art. It's great, looks amazing. And just the intricate detail, the muscle work, it's just incredible. So I'm trying to figure out if this is the back of the Chatterer, because we have a concept piece of artwork there of the Chatterer. So I'm like, is that the Chatterer? And the back does look like the Chatterer. That one screenshot I shared yesterday when the Chatterer walks past Colin, his back's all exposed. There's muscle, there's bone and stuff like that. So I'm guessing this is the Chatterer, but look at the legs. The legs are all like shriveled. He looks like Frank from the first Hellraiser. Now this is what I wanted to talk about. This is the contraption that was hooked up to Voight and is controlling his nerves. So the most part, it was 3D printed, but it was an actual physical working prop. Like I said, that's the actual moving video in the whole video that Russell Effects did. And it just shows all the gears working. So it was an actual physical prop that would drag, I think it was silicon pieces that were made to look like the nerves of Voight through the actual cogs. It's incredible. It's amazing to see. And the finishing work is remarkable. It looks like heavy, heavy brass. Now here's Goran Viznik, I think that's how you pronounce his surname, getting all made up as the Voight Cenobite. So this looks like a lot of silicon. I don't blame him for laying down. You'd have a big sleep. Like this is a full body prosthetic. This takes a lot of time to do, a lot of gluing, a lot of blending, a lot of patching, a lot of seaming, and a lot of painting. And the end result was amazing. Like, he looks incredible. Now here's the green screen shot for when they pulled away the sides of his cheek right at the end as he's getting crucified. And then they just composite that in, I guess, with the rest of his body, or it might have been a dummy body like that sculpture they were doing, how he's being crucified. Now we're on the home stretch, last couple of images, and the last ones are really fun, but this is the one that really reminded me of being a mold maker with fiberglass molds. So they're rigging up the actor that plays the Chatterer, and they're putting those bolts in around the top of his torso. And again, that reminds me of when I do fiberglass molds, and you've got the seam line, you've got the wing nuts and everything. So that's a nice little touch. I like that. Also very industrial, very metal. And the last two shots are the Cenobites chilling on set when they're filming out the front of Voight's mansion. So we have the actor that portrays the Ghast, we have the actor that portrays the Asphyx, we've got Pinhead, or should I say the priest, and we also have the mask just chilling. And I love the actor that plays the mask has flip-flops on. It's hilarious. But with the Asphyx, they obviously have to have something that is removable so the actor can breathe. And my God, it looks like they are taking a big gasp of air there. And there you have it, ghouls and ghoulettes. Again, I highly recommend going to watch that video. I'll link it down below. It's such an interesting listen. The amount of work that's gone in to all of these Cenobite costumes, the creature effects, just the research, the R&D is ridiculous with this. Even when it came down to Jamie Clayton's pins on her priest makeup, it's just incredible. And I commend everyone at Russell Effects for their work. You've done an amazing job, and I really hope we do see more of your work in more Hellraiser films. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Either later today or tomorrow morning, I'm gonna have a quick little tutorial up about weathering your prop knife to make it look all nice and rusty like the Halloween Ends knife. Tomorrow night I'm seeing Halloween Ends. We have the premiere here in Sydney, so either a couple of hours after, depending if the embargo is lifted, or the next day I'm going to have my spoiler-free review up. And this coming weekend I'm going to be doing a spoiler stream on Cosplay Chris Live, so it's either going to be the Saturday or Sunday. Either way, it's a busy week, but I'm very excited. Halloween Ends is pretty much here. I can't believe it's all come to this. Guys, wherever you are in the world, please have yourselves an absolute cracker of a day. I hope you're well, hope you're happy, be merry, be silly, and until next time, ghouls and ghoulettes, please always remember, cosplayers do it best.